Hey guys, how are you doing? Today I want to do some hard surface modeling. I'm not really sure what I want to do, so yeah, we're just going to wing it and see what we can come up with. I think we can do some masks and see how things go. So I'll be looking at some reference images here just to see what we can do. Hello YouTube account, how are you doing? So let's try to do our mask. Yeah, a face mask. So I'm adding this empty to use as my mirror object. Now I can just rotate this at an angle to get something like I'm just going to create a concept in mind that I have in mind, and then we can build from that. So let's start by blocking out the idea, and then can build from that. Hello Bob Doll, how are you doing? Yes, I'm just blocking out things so that I get an idea of what I'm trying to do here. I'm doing great, considering everything going on. I think we can also add in a bevel modifier to just get that sharpness around the corners of this. Again, we're still in the blocking phase, just to block everything out and see how things go as I look at my reference images.
Stay home with YouTube.
Hello, Hell Overthrown, how are you doing? Hello, St. Paul, Raymond St. Paul. Will you please provide step by step of what you're doing. I'm unable to follow the video. I think these are very basic steps, just extruding, adding edge loops, things like that. That's why I'm not really going to be too detailed with this. But basically I'm just blocking out this and getting the concept out of my
Here we go.
Hello BM, nice to learn from us. I'm doing good, thanks. But by the way, I love this channel. I turn to this channel when I'm stuck with something. That's good to know. Do you ever print things you model? Not really, because I never optimize them for 3D printing. Hello Overthrown, it's 3 a.m. here. I'm watching. Yeah, thank you for being around. It's around 12 a.m. here. It's also very late for me here as well. I don't feel like sleeping, so
Invincible.
this to add some bit of detail out of the model. if I make a step that you don't understand, just ask a question and I'll be able to and I will just explain it. So basically, what I'm going to do here, let me explain this step of my yeah, so what I'm trying to do is cut these holes from this, and I want to use booleans for that. So I also want these holes to align to the subject. Maybe let me just do what I'm thinking here so that you can see exactly that. So just going to parent this to this object, Ctrl P. I just make sure that it's at the same position, like that. And if I go into the object data of this, I can instance by vertices like that, so that this object here is duplicated on every vertex we have on this plane. And then what I can do is apply a surface, a shrink wrap modifier to this object, and place it onto this object, and use this as the target, so that I can align these on the surface of this object. Yes, the problem now is that they don't really angle to the direction of the face, so instead of using duplicates here, I'm just going to first turn them off, and instead of using duplicates, I can just use a particle system to distribute those objects. So let's going to turn this to about 10, and under render as change these to object, and select these as my object, upbeat, and then turn on advanced so that I can change the orientation here. Sometimes you might have to select this object, go into edit mode, and rotate that object in edit mode to get this to be oriented as you want. You can see, so they are being oriented on the surface of this object, which is exactly what I want. Something like this. And I can't hear you. Hello, Open Render. I've reduced the music. Hopefully now you can hear me. You know what? I think the best way to approach this is just to use this face here that's already placed here. Shift D, duplicate it, and just going to separate it from this object. Since it's already attached to this mesh, I can just subdivide it a few times. Like that. Now I can use the hair particle system on this. So here, and now I can just select this as our object. Also make sure that this particle system is above the bevel, or you're going to have some issues. And see, if we put it under, if we put it below the bevel, we just have all the particles being emitted from one point. So just make sure that it's above the bevel, or turn off the bevel modifier. And then we can go to the particle system. Hello, Angel Trujillo. Yeah, I'm turning off the music since I'm getting a lot of complaints about it. So let's have our particles. I can also, so they're also, let me just apply this mirror modifier here and reduce my particle count to about 10. And I want these particles to be emitted on vertices so that I have control over where these particles are placed, like that. Now I just need to increase the scale of these. So basically what I want is to have this circle on every vertex we have. So we have around 42 vertices. Hello Throne. When do you usually go live? Around this time. This is when I'm usually going online. Yes, the bevel modifier usually comes last. Doll. And so let's just make sure that we have that set 44 vertices. And turn on advanced. Let's see. I think that's it for the most part. And now what we can do is go into the particle modifier. Maybe I just need to push these just a bit down. So I'm just going to go to edit mode. Because remember, we want to use these as Boolean objects. I think I'm approaching this the wrong way, but let's see how much we can get from this. Can even go to this object and have its origin pushed back like that, so that these can be pushed in with the particle system, because we want to use these as cutout objects for our mesh. So let's just look at the particles we are having here. Sometimes it's really hard to get the distribution of the particles right. I have 42 vertices. 42. So I want each of those faces to have, each of these vertices to have a vertex. There's usually an option to remove repeating, to have for each vertex to have only one particle, but I'm not. It's usually under here, so under source, but I'm not seeing it now. It's under faces. Yeah, so it's actually this option. You want to have one particle per face, and 0 just means any particle that Blender decides. So if I choose 1, you can see now we get 1 particle per face, and then now we just need to reduce the particle count to be the same as the face count, and you can select, you can check the face count usually from here. So it's around, we have 30 faces, so let's have 30 particles as well, which means each of our faces should get at least one single particle, which doesn't seem to be the case here. Also turn off random order. So now we have 30. Let's go back again here. We have 30 faces, And now if we add 30 faces, 30 particles, we should also have, each face should have at least one particle. Again, let's see even distribution. If we turn that off, you can see now we have each face has one single particle. Now that we are done with that, we can convert these particles into actual objects, and we can merge them into a single object. Ctrl J, unhide everything. I guess I just have to push them out, or just push this mask a bit down. Just select this, push it, and I want to use these as Boolean objects. So I can select my Boolean and select this object to be a Boolean object. Now we can have something like this. But let's first unhide our particles. So we are going to come in. You can see some particles are intersecting with our mesh, so we can go in, push those out. And also remember, we have a mirror modifier for this, so we don't need to have particles on this side. So I'll just delete them, and I make sure that our Boolean is above our mirror modifier, and these will be repeated on this side like that. Alright, just give me a moment here, check my internet for a second. Okay. Oh nice, I like to upload GL render or open movies too. Yeah, my internet is a bit slowing down. I don't know. Let me first try and see if I can fix my internet. It's a bit laggy right now. Okay, let's continue. See if it gets better now. So one thing I could do is now just try move some of these faces that are intersecting with our mesh to have these artifacts, and I just push them out. You can see how that is affecting the output here. Select this here, push that out, and we don't want them to be too close to the mirror edge here, so I'm just going to remove some of them. Ctrl L, so this can be removed. Ctrl L, can slide this. I can see this is also too close to the edge, so I can just drag that back. Now these are too large, and I think they don't really give us a nice pattern, So what I'm going to do is select a few of them. So maybe these, just select a pattern like this, then Ctrl L, and make sure you have your pivot points set to in video origins, and scale these down to make them even smaller. So we have something like that. Can come to these, can also rotate them, just rotate them on the X so that we get a better orientation or rotation. It's better than my potato computer. Yeah, I also have a lot of issues with my computer. I need to get to upgrade, get a better one, but yeah, sometimes you don't have the luxury just yet. So just going to rotate this. And see the kind of details we're getting there. Again, I don't want to have anything intersecting or having these kind of artifacts here. So I'm just going to grab these, push them out just a bit. Okay, so I'm not sure. You can see and sometimes if you just have this closed off, I can get better results. So if I select this egg loop, actually this shouldn't be there. If I select this egg loop, mine pretty closes Blender half the time I render. Yeah, so I'm not the only one with PC problems, I guess. Yeah. And I don't want to use my savings right now because I'm not sure what is going to happen with the economy right now, with all these things going on. So, and I also recommend anyone to just keep some money with them before they make any large purchases until this thing settles down. So let's see. Now I'm just going to apply this boolean, and actually before I do that, let's see if I extrude this out. That, and just bridge as long as you can make what you want still. Yeah, that's true, but sometimes computer can limit the kind of things you can do. Sometimes you also have to recalculate normals. Don't forget that, since normals affect how booleans work and how your bevel looks as well. So I don't like this going on here. Let's see. Okay, why is this like this? I'm just going to first remove any doubles. Now I'm just going to apply this boolean and get rid of these. So with booleans, I end up with a lot of, you have to do a lot of cleaning to get anything usable, especially when we are doing hard surface modeling and you plan to add a subdivision surface over the boolean. So we can go in and start cleaning up a few of these things. So let's see what we can do. We can just, let me first turn off this. I'll reduce my clip start here so that I can zoom in closer. I think one of the problems I did here, one of the things I should have done is just block out everything before I start adding small details like this, because now I want to change the concept a bit, but because I've already committed some of the detail, it's a bit hard for me to do. So what I'm going to do is just, since I've already shown you how you can get these details back in, I'm just going to erase them and I'll add them back later after I get the overall idea out. So just going to hit F, and that should clear out all the things we have, all the details we have added here. Just save this. Much. I'll call this gas mask. So let's first get the concept I want to use, and then we can add in more details later. So let me add a loop around here, and I think I can also add a loop around here that can extend here like that. Do you prefer to block out things, or do you also sketch? Then I like blocking out things because I'm not very good at sketching, or haven't practiced enough to find out if I'm good enough. So I think we can also add some pipes here just to make things look more interesting. So I think I can just add a plane around there, then delete some of the faces we have, the edges. I think I can connect these pipes like that. So we're going to create some kind of maybe gas pipes that connect to these filters. So I'm just creating this plane here, this edge here, using the bevel tool. I'm using the bevel tool to kind of round off these edges. If you have been following some of my tutorials, you know what I'm about to do here now. So yes, something like that. Now I can convert this into a curve object, and then another curve object, give this a bevel, and I should give me something like this. So I can also add the same mirror modifier. We have our empty, so now I can convert this back to the mesh like this. Hit F, extrude there. Maybe we can add a few details here as well. Not sure why this is happening like this. I'm trying to extrude this along its normals, but for some reason they're just being pushed sideways. Okay, I'm not sure why that is happening. But let's also, let me see what else we can do here. Let's look at some masks on ArtStation. Got some designs how they have. Can add in those, I don't know, those stripes there in here. So where should we add those? Yes, maybe what we can do is add some of those stripes onto this, so that we have some detail onto this plane here. So I can Shift D, duplicate this. Actually, we can just use booleans again. So I can add a curve, a plane, rotate this, and now we can bevel this edge to kind of follow that curvature like that. Now then I can select this, extrude it up. Actually, the easiest way to do this would be to extrude it like this, and then add a solidify modifier to add that thickness. And you can shade smooth if you want, then auto smooth, have something like this. Also want it to kind of have the same to kind of rotate to the same angle of this. So let's see if I can get it to face. Just reset the origin and rotate this. It's not that easy. It's not as easy as I thought, but I think if we get that face like that, then we can just select this egg loop, push it in like that. Now, to preview what we are doing, I'm just going to change this, the visibility of this object to wire, and then just add a boolean. Have this object as a boolean object. Make sure it's above the bevel. Maybe just drag this down a bit like that. Also don't want it to extend too much in. And if we duplicate this a few times, can have some details like that. And this should be above our mirror, so that we can have it on the other side like that. So then I can just apply that boolean. I'll get rid of this boolean object. I just fix some of the endpoints we are having here. One way we could have added those small details was to just create a plane like this, and with our pattern. So I'm just going to subdivide this and bevel this out. Just change the profile, hit F, and have something like that, and maybe duplicate this, Let's see if this would work on this side. This could be a bit smaller. If we use a mirror object, but just make sure that our mirror is around there. Then on the Y, you can actually just apply the mirror and then just fix this circle here, and first make sure that I merge any doubles that I have, then fix this here, make it a perfect circle, and then you can just use get this. So what we're trying to do here, what I'm trying to do here is create a pattern that we are going to use for these small details that I have here that I want to add onto the mask. So now I think I can just delete these outside parts. So this. And just use the array here. Now you can see our pattern being repeated over and over. So maybe we want this circle to be larger than the outside circles. Now we can, let's see, what do we have here. Just bring this now we can add a shrink wrap constraint, and what this will do, it will just move our entire object onto the plane surface, so like that. Also want to align the normal. But before we do that, we want to change the shrink wrap, I think it's called a shrink wrap snap mode, to above surface, and also this we want it to be to tangent normal. Just get that, and then you can add the shrink wrap modifier on top of the shrink wrap constraint. So now you can see that we can easily align this to the surface as we want. I also want this to be tangent normal, maybe above the surface as well. So let's try to increase the count here. You can see how this pattern is going to be applied onto the surface. Like that. Yeah, which I think is good enough for us, like that. I also want to play with the offset just a bit so that this is not too stretching as it folds over this edge. And try rotating it to align it better. But I want it to be aligned more on this mirror axis than the other sides, so something like this. And after we're done with that, we can apply these array modifiers. And also this constraint can be removed now. Actually, maybe not. Removing this constraint, we just push this outside away from the mesh. So what you want to do is apply visuals to geometry. Actually, that doesn't also do it. So let's see if I just join this to this. Yeah. Okay, so if we add, say, a plane like this, to apply this rank modifier without changing the position of this object, I can just join it to another object, and it should retain its position or its shape like that. Now let's first hide this and see how this looks. So the surface is not perfectly even, because the mesh is not really well subdivided, but we can try using the smooth surface. I think the smooth actually could have been. We also have double, so we need to make sure that we get rid of those. We want to use the smoothing modifier. So there are a few types of smooth modifiers here, so just want to get one that would work best in this situation. But you know what, I think I'm okay with this surface here. So now what we can do is just unhide this, just delete parts of this mesh to replace it with this detailed mesh we have. And I think we can just add edge loops in different areas, maybe around there and also around there. Just adding mesh edge loops where I think if I hide these, so add this here. So now I think I can just select this face here, delete that, and just join this to this. Now find a way to join these parts to this. I'm also going to just delete parts of this mesh since we don't need all of those. So anything that is folding or too distorted is just going to be removed. So this some of these circles can also be removed. Just using Ctrl X to remove those edge loops. Now I can merge. I can start merging these to the original mesh. And parts of this mesh are going to be removed. So I'm just going to remove those like that. So this can also just be removed. Now I'm removing it by centering it at the center, by merging it at the center. Also these circles Yes, thank you, Bob Doe. Can remove these here. So this is what you usually do when you're creating surfaces like this. You end up doing a lot of blurring stuff just to make your mesh look cleaner. So now we can get this side maybe add a loop here that we can join, so that we can join that to that. Just to show you how this is going to look to come out. The reason why I added these is that I can easily just push them down like that, and I would get those details quite easily. And so this here, you can pull them to the center. I can just choose the faces that I want to use, set them, push them down. Can even select some of them and push them up. So I'm just going to insert, push them up, but because of this mirror modifier, we are left with that in middle edge loop, so I need to push that out. Actually, I might have to do this for in video. Like that. Now, and you can select these, insert, and then push out. Maybe can also push these out again. Just going to dissolve those. There may be for these ones. Let me see what we can do. Maybe we can just use the spin tool. Make sure that our 3D cursor is around here. Maybe just put these in like that. Just playing around with the design just a bit to make it look a little bit unique. There may be some of these you can just have them like that. Hello Jess Parikos, how are you doing? And let's do some extra cleaning up here. I don't need these circles here. I'm just going to get rid of them and reduce the polygon count of my mesh just a bit to clean it up a bit. So some of these I'm just going to dissolve. So this I can just merge, center, dissolve, and I can also merge these here. Every 3 points I'm just going to merge into one, like that. That we have something like that. Now this can be joined to this. And get rid of some of these details. Just start filling in some of that end cones and just reducing the size of the end cone we have. So this here. These don't really have any functional purpose, but I think they look nice, so I'll just have them there. Now, if you wanted, you can also round off these corners here, these, so that they're not too sharp. But that would also increase your polygon count. Let me just make sure that my profile here is set 2.5, like that. So I think these would look like nicer if they're that size, that shape, instead of just being this rounded. So I'm just going to select them and round them off just like that. Okay. Can see that kind of shape I think is much better than this. So I think I also use a lot of polygons for some of these, but that's okay. Just trying to get an idea out of our heads. also round off these here. And I think if we used bevel weight, we can mark what areas of this mesh we want to be rounded off. So let me do just that. So I want these sharp corners to be more rounded. So Shift E, 1, I think it's Control E, bevel weight, and you can see now that area has been rounded off by giving it a bevel weight of 1. I'm just going to do that for a lot of these edges, so we get that rounded corners like that. For areas that we need to be rounded like that as well. We have that. If you want, you can also add a subdivision surface. You can see, just to see how that would look. Hello mid Kauchal, how are you doing? We also want these to have those rounded corners, but I want this n-gon to reduce the size of this n-gon, so I'm just going to triangulate the entire n-gon using Ctrl T and then Alt J to untriangulate. So we have something like that, and also do the same here, Ctrl T and then Alt J to untriangulate, reduce the size of that n-gon. Maybe also this here, Ctrl T and then Alt J. I think we can add a loop around here, just doing that directly to these, get rid of that and that, so we can reduce some of the triangles we have. Maybe add an extra loop here, join these to this, get rid of that and that. So also want these to be sharp edges, sorry, rounded corners. So I'm just going to give them a bevel weight as well. I think we can start working on the materials just a bit to have our object look a little bit more interesting. So let's look at what these guys have for materials. I think first of all we can use, let's see, we can create, go to material mode here, turn on ambient occlusion. If we add animate texture, maybe you can use some scratches if you have some scratch textures. Just going to use object texture coordinate mapping, since I don't want to UV unwrap this. You can see how this looks. Maybe add a math node here. scale this up. Now this could be metallic, so let's do that for them. And I think these holes can look much better if we round them off using our bevel weight, like that. Now we have an issue here. Just reduce that. Maybe let's reduce the bevel weight for this here so that it's a bit tighter, instead of giving it a full bevel width. Let's do the same here. Just make sure you're not selecting any edge loops that you don't want to have a bevel. And Ctrl E, let's just give it a slight bevel like that. Then let's create our metal material for things like this here. I first extend this part here out like that. So this is going to use the same material as this, so I'm just going to call this plastic black, and this should use the same material, but instead of plastic it should be metal. I'll just call this copper, because I think copper might look a bit better on this part here. So this is going to be metal, but we just need to change its color to look like copper, like that. And if you want, we can use the ambient occlusion node for this copper material. Input ambient occlusion, just add a color, mix RGB, set color 1 to be the copper color and color 2 to be a kind of greenish color. So then we can use this ambient occlusion as the factor. Maybe we just need to switch these around. Let me see. I wanted to go for a bronze look, but I'm forgetting how it should look. Bronze. That old bronze material. This kind of bronze material here. That kind of material there, but it would take a lot of time to work on. So actually maybe it doesn't look right here because it is not supposed to be, that part that is a bit greenish is not supposed to be metallic. So if we use this ambient occlusion for the metalness, I think we should get something similar, but I just need to add a convert math node here, or color ramp here, sorry, to control the contrast. Yeah, I think, yeah, that's actually the look I was going for. Maybe this should be a bit, no. That's what I think I was going for. We need a few extra details here. I'm going to turn on auto smooth. Just change the bevel angle here to 45. Give this a bevel as well. Set this to angle 45 as well. So I'm just going to add a few extra rings here. Just going to duplicate this. And just separate this into its own object. Thanks, Bob bro. I don't know why when I'm saying your name, my mind just goes to Bob Ross, but Bob Doll says it looks nice. Thank you. Let's just use the, how is it called? Slide? No. The shear. Okay, was that moved? Okay, there is a tool I'm looking for here that I'm not seeing anymore. It helps you slant and angle this. Interesting. And okay, it's under this. So they moved it from, so the default is to change this to sphere. So if you want to just, this is what I was looking for. Yeah. Get that. Remember, this is supposed to be duplicated on the other side, so we can delete this and just use the mirror modifier. Now if we duplicate this a few times, so just maybe have this look even more cool. This can also have the same material. Let's do something different here. So if I just bevel this, just to add a little bit of extra detail, let's do something different here. Again, I want to use plastic for this here, but also want to select this part, Shift D, separate that, and I want to try out something different. I want to use the close modifier for this part here and see what we can get from it. So I'm also going to delete this, then select that edge group, hit F3 and then use grid fill, So we have something like that. So let me just extrude and then scale in. I'm going to remove the modifier, mirror modifier for now. Just subdivide this a few times like that. So I want to use the cloth modifier on this. This can be a collision object. So let's see, physics property, collision. Just make sure that I'm saving this, and I just see and select, and first smoothen these, something like that. Can select this edge loop, scale it in, and then select this edge ring here, delete only faces, like that. Actually, I think I've done a slight mistake here. I think I would have to, because I want to use this area here for sewing. So if I delete only faces here, remember part of this is a collision object. You also just change the color of this, so just call this so let's see, if I select this, give it vertex group, go to the object properties, sorry, the physics property, give this a cloth modifier. If you play back, it should just fall down, but let me first also make sure that I'm recalculating normals here. We don't want any gravity to act on this. Make sure that this has a collision property. I think we also want to have pinning turned on, so we need to go under shape, pin group, select the pin group, turn on sewing. For some reason this is not colliding with the surface as I hoped, so let me first push some of these vertices out just a bit. Let me look at my normals. Okay, yeah, this is one of the reasons why this wasn't working out. You need to recalculate the normals of this object. Now let's try again and see, now it's colliding with it, and now we are getting, let me also first turn off shade smooth here, auto smooth, sorry. You can see we are getting a much better results here. Now let me also, if I select this ring here, let's turn on sewing for this. So let's go under, yeah, so we have sewing, but let's give it a lesser sewing force. Maybe even think what we can do here as well, just admit this shrinking in a bit. So I'm just going to add a hook here and just scale it in a bit. So turn on proportional editing, sorry, turn on animation, scale that in a bit and see. Let's see what happens. Let's add a few extra edge loops. Maybe let's also turn on gravity back, just so we can get a few wrinkles in. So make sure that this is above. Let's turn on gravity back, but not too much, just so we can have a few extra wrinkles like that. There may be, let's also make these objects collision objects. We can also just push this in. And I think the best way to handle this is maybe you can have this parented to this, Control P, and this to this, because we start off the simulation with this already intersecting with this, so that's why you see we're having a few issues already when we start simulating. So if we just unmade these, let me set a keyframe there. You can unmade, let's use this like that. So we don't start off with the object already intersecting with this mesh. I think we can get better results, but something like that. And also maybe turn on self collision, or turn on pressure as well. Let's see how what this does for us and see. Yeah, we are getting more wrinkles. Yes, something like that is not too bad in my opinion. Yeah, we're getting some wrinkles there. So I'm just going to apply Ctrl A, apply visual geometry, and now I can get rid of some of these edge loops here. So this, get rid of those faces, select this edge loop, let's push that in like that. I think that gives us some nice detail, and we can also mirror this. I think let's see what else we can do here. Let's extrude this. The loop around there. Let's see. Just trying to see what I can get away with here. You don't need the bevel weight there. I can give this a more cloth material. Let's do a texture. Texture. Let's find a fabric material here that we could use. Maybe let's just go with a leather material and see. Again, we just need to use texture coordinate mapping since this is non-UV unwrapped. So object, then box. We need to colorize or change the color of this. So color mix RGB, can change this using I don't know how that would look, but let's see. I don't think that is too bad. We can also use that as our bump map. And just to add a little bit more detail, we can UV unwrap this. Maxing unwrap also, and just see how am I going to unwrap this. Let's just use smart UVs, smart UV projection. Let's see what we get. Not too bad, we can use that. Now the reason I'm UV unwrapping this is that I want to use texture painting at painting a few extra detail. So let's first look at our reference images here, and see some of the details they have for their masks. So if we go to this material, plastic material, we can add a texture. Let's just use 2048 by 2048, and just want to paint. Actually, I just want to paint in bumps. So vector bump, connect these to the height. Now if I go to texture painting for this object, texture paint, actually paint this, but why is it hiding? Texture paint. Okay, I'm forgetting why this hides when I'm working. Let me see. Plastic untitled. Okay, I forget why the mesh hides is hidden when I'm trying to paint. Oh, I remember. It's because of this alpha mask, the alpha channel we added. So I have to go back to the image and reset, hit discard, and make sure that the alpha value is set to 1. Now also I want to preview the materials here. Now if I paint, you can see that I'm painting the bumps. Let me turn off the ambient occlusion for now. Unfortunately, that will also turn off these details because they are based on the ambient occlusion, but let's not worry about that for now. So I want to start drawing in some detail. Also, let's make sure that we have mirror turned on, which is already turned on for now. Let's see, can work on our brush a little bit. So if I go under the fall off, let's do this, see what kind of fall off we want. Okay, that's not exactly what I want. Maybe I can reduce my strength just a bit. I want a kind of smooth fall off, but sometimes it's really hard to get that. I'm going to reduce the strength here. I think now we can start adding in some details. So if I go to the stroke here, I can increase my spacing, change the stroke method, add to line, and then draw a line like that to get some dots in like that, which don't really give me the kind of detail I want. So let's try just drawing in lines like that. Can you promise me don't put a time-lapse video again, please? Yeah, I can't promise that, my friend. A lot of people do like watching time lapses, and yeah, I usually do these videos also just as tutorials for myself in case I forget how to do something. So that's why I put time lapses up in case I don't remember how to make something, because it might surprise you, but I do forget occasionally how I did something, and I have to go back to my own videos and watch my own tutorials. Let's try, I think it's called actually need a line, and then under I want to draw a curve, but for that you need to turn on you need to turn on, I think it's called, let's see, is it stabilized stroke? Yeah, this stabilized stroke, and then you can draw curves. I think we can select this object here. Okay, these two objects should share the same sorry about that. I think I muted myself somehow. Hopefully now everything's okay. And if you want, you can also let me first make sure that I'm saving this image. I save this image. So if I go under you edit image savers, you are a useful person and help us to learn everything in Blender. Thank you. Thank you for the support as well. So let's see what else can I do here. Yeah, you can also use this mask we have just drawn. So I can just have this as a math node here. I want to make these bumps that I've just created metallic, so I can have them there like that. Change this to maybe power. Let's see how this looks. So something like this, and you can change this to add a math node and change this to greater than. So we get a clear black and white mask like that, and use it for the metalness, and also use it for the color. Let's see, you can also make these gold. Now I think we can also use this as a mask node, as a mask for the roughness as well, because we want those metal areas to be a bit shiny. Maybe a bit. Not sure even. I think this is okay. Can change the color here a bit. Bring back our ambient occlusion, and let's see what we have. Not sure how long this has been going on, but let's see. I think another thing we can do is we can. What is your Instagram name? I use Ismail's VFX, but I rarely post on Instagram. I also want to round off these corners a bit. Actually, I think I use top channel 1-on-1. I'm not sure. That's how rarely I use Instagram. Can also add a cloth for this to cover this area here. So I think we can just select this here, faces in this area, and parts of these here. If I isolate this for a second, something like this, Shift E P to separate this, just use Alt S. We're going to remove the bevel, also the collision modifier there, and just also remove these weighted edges, and subdivide this a few times like that, and use the smooth vertices just to smoothen that a bit and see what we are having. Subdivide this even further and just smoothen the subdivision a bit. Can select this. I want to select this outer ring here, E to extrude, scale it in, and I think I can add a loop around here, then select Just simulate this. Let's see if we turn on pressure. Let's give it a slight pressure. It's not. Sometimes so I'm just going to use vertex group to make this more, to make the cloth a bit more thick. So I'm just going to set a new shape keys here. Just animate them to make the this surface a bit more buggy. So just going to turn on, actually if I just use this, yeah, so if I animate this value here, actually on that, this here, and then we can see what results we get from that. Also, let me just turn on self collision because I don't want to see that intersecting the cloth, penetrating it. Also, I might also need to, let me see, I might also need to apply scale. So we get more wrinkles when we have that when we have the shape key, but I think the value is too high for the shape key, so we're getting too many wrinkles. So what I'm going to do is just reduce. So under shape keys, this value can be 0.3 or something like that. I don't like how the kind of wrinkles we're getting. So let me first turn off this so that we don't have that self collision. We'll deal with this area here later. Okay, is creating a few issues. I think what I can do here is also just delete this. Just have this assigned to the pinning group as well, and we can see what we get. Not very satisfying. Maybe in the vertex, in this shape key, push. I'm not getting the results I want here. Maybe the design of the cloth is not as good as I hoped it would be, but just select this, push this in and see what happens. Do you have any advice on how to stay consistent with Blender? I tend to abandon projects. I tend to abandon projects quite easily. Yeah, that's me too. I abandon a lot of projects as well, but yeah, I'm not sure. You just have to be motivated to do it, and the reason why I'm consistent or the reason why I produce a lot of videos is simply because I take this as part of my job. So if I don't do it, that means less money in my wallet, and that is usually a good motivator. So if you can find a way to make Blender part of your income source, I think it will motivate you to continue doing this, to be more consistent, I think. I think I'm spending a lot of time on this and I'm not getting the results I want. It's just getting worse and worse. So let's not do that like this. Okay, also need to get rid of this animation here. So what else can we do? You guys have any other suggestions we can add on this? Because I think so far we are doing great, in my opinion. We're not really doing too bad. Let's try to add a head inside here and see how that would look. Not going to do anything fancy, just a simple shape. I think it looks good so far. Maybe some sort of visor. Let me see what kind of designs are there for visors. That's interesting, but we would need a head to add that, and modeling a head does take quite some time, so I'm not sure about that. Need a proper head here. Okay, this is not the best head to try this on, but why don't you sculpt the wrinkles instead of stimulating them? Yeah, but by the way, there is that modifier for sculpting cloth. Yeah, we could have used that, but yeah, I think this gives us better wrinkles than just sculpting. Using that sculpt modifier is nice, but I haven't played with it quite a lot. And if you don't know what I mean, I'm talking about the cloth sculpt modifier. I think it's this. Just need to turn off the mirror. It's all right. We'll take a request for your next stream. Ah, nice. Let's see. Yeah, so this sculpt brush, I haven't tested it too much, so I'm not really sure how to use it. So I think I'm about to end the stream, but yeah, this is where we are. Maybe you can also make this a bit dusty by using the same ambient occlusion modifier here. So if I select this, Shift D, copy sorry, Ctrl C to copy this, and you can paste it onto this material here. Just want to mix it up a bit, so just get my ambient occlusion here. So you want some of those areas to be a bit dirty, so you want to sample, so those areas, so this should be fed into that, actually not there, to color 1, and this should be a bit dirty. Just like that. And we have something like that. You can see how the dirt is coming out. Yeah, so it will protect you from the virus but infect you with something else because of how dirty it is. Anyway, thank you for being around. Thank you for the support. Hopefully I can see you tomorrow, around the same time. I'll try to stream again and see how things go, but yeah, this is going to be the end of the stream. Yeah, if you are not subscribed, please do subscribe for more videos.